Hey guys, Jeff here, and today I'm building the ultimate DIY fireproof garage. We're gonna show you all the different little nuances in between too, so that you can get yourself to a place where you can have all of your lithium batteries, your charging, your EV chargers, go to sleep at night knowing that your house isn't gonna go up in smoke while you're asleep. Let's jump into it. Step number one, of course, is the insulation, okay? We gotta choose an insulation. Now you got basically two choices, fiberglass or mineral wool. Truth of it is, they both offer some fire protection, but the mineral wool is a superior product, and so in this case, we are actually going with the Roxol. We're going to be putting it in. It comes in two different sizes, a 16 or 24-inch wide framing. These trusses are all installed on 24 center, so that makes our life simple. It comes 8 batts in a bag, which is not a lot. So what you want to do is you want to cut down the side, because that's also the side of the insulation, okay? So you're not going to be damaging anything and wrecking its integrity. The way you do this is you take the one side, you lay it up against your 2x4, and then you gently compress this side, and you slide that in. Now, whoo, okay, right? It doesn't look like it wants to stay, does it? Okay, if it's supported on that end, then this is the only end that's not supported. It also means my drywall is going to come a couple of inches past here, so the next bundle that I put in will be supported, okay? Take a construction screw, there we are, and offer the insulation some support. Nice and out of the way. Now she's held up, okay? Now you can put the screws in first if you want to, and then set the insulation in. I just find that if you do that first, you end up tearing it all apart while you're doing the install, okay? Oh, Jesus, okay. Now, traditionally with drywall, we stagger the joints and move it around, and we cut ends and fillers, and then we tape all the butt joints, but my system does not require any butt joint taping, so we are just going to get these installed as a fireproof panel. All right, guys, time for the secret weapon. If you don't own one of these, which you probably won't, you can rent lifts from the local store. If you're not familiar with these, they have a lock on the pin, so you can't roll it. These arms go down, and you can actually set the drywall on these, roll it into place, wheel it into place, and then crank it up, okay? All right, guys, let me just show you our process here for doing drywall. You take a marker, you find the middle of the truss, and you make a mark down from that point, okay? And that'll give you a visual of where your line is, okay? Now we're doing the foam. So we're gonna open the nozzle a little bit here, and here's what I'm gonna be using. Great Stuff Pro Series. All right, adhesive. Have the extra bond so that if a fire happens, we don't have to worry about the screws holding the paper up, okay? The whole sheet will be glued to the ceiling. Okay, give that a crank. Are we right tight in that corner there? Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Start lifting. Okay, and complete it. All right, now, there we go. Okay, now we can screw it in. All right, guys, hey, we're back in the garage to finish up, and you can see it looks a little bit different here with the gas line now. We had the gas guy come out, B-Rad, my favorite gas guy, came out and he dropped in a brand new line and gave us these brand new brackets, which is awesome because it hangs the gas line low enough. It clears not just the ceiling, but the board and batten we're gonna use, which is great. We are ready to finish closing this sucker up. Next thing to do is get rid of these rail brackets. We experimented with releasing the nuts earlier. Didn't work out too well because the springs were still on. Don't do that. We actually called the garage door company. Guy came out, and with the door closed, he just unhooked the spring, no big deal. So now all we gotta do is take our 1/2-inch nut drive and pop these things off. Matt's gonna do that, and they're just gonna hang in place. And that way, they're out of the way.
Okay. Boom. We're in.
Okay.
And it's never fallen.
All the damage that I've ever seen, what happens is the mud and the paper peel off first. And then all those gaps that people fill with the 20-minute mud, that's where the fire works its way through. So in this scenario, by going tight and by using the fire caulking in the gap instead of mud, there's nothing there. There's no weakness for the fire to get through. So now we've already gone to 40 minutes because the board is that good. If it manages to get past the board, it's got to contend with the fact that there's mineral wool in the attic. So it's not finding a real source of oxygen yet, and it can't burn through that. And because only one side, the very bottom of these rafters, are exposed wood, the rafter on the bottom is the only thing that can burn. So you're at least another half an hour before fire really starts to poke through. All right, so because we're doing this fireproof, it's also my dream garage. Like, I'm gonna be doing an extensive project in here with my workbenches and how I lay out all my tools and equipment. So this window is in my way. And it faces my neighbor? Like, privacy much? Later on down the road in this project, out this door here, we're gonna be building a whole patio area out here with an outdoor kitchen. And over here, I'm gonna put in a big picture window. And it's not gonna be that crazy. I'm probably gonna go like 5 feet, maybe a little bit less. So part of my process here today is I gotta pull out the window, I gotta put some plywood outside, I gotta frame up the rest of this, and then we're going to reframe over here, put in a new header, and then we're ready to insulate and close up with drywall because we'll order the window, we'll get it installed at a later date, but then we wanna have this prepped, right? All right, guys, here we are. We're gonna hang drywall right to the ceiling, down to this height, 87.5, no surprise. And right about right there, that's where the wood stops, okay? And this doesn't have to be pretty, but you wanna have this about a half an inch wide or so, and you only wanna put a couple of rows. The building science behind this is simple. Remember, we don't wanna have moisture wicking from the stone to the drywall. Anywhere where the drywall's in contact with the wall, it's contacting this paper, so there's no direct transfer. And because this is a plastic, it won't wick through. Where these spots are, we're gonna put the adhesive, nice thick beads. And when we hang the drywall, we're gonna set it into this adhesive, which also doesn't wick moisture. So we can have direct bond drywall to masonry without any wicking. This is what we're creating here. It's a beautiful little deal. Okay. Trying to put it onto the ladder here. Okay.
Oh, we're up there.
We're good.
Okay.
Feel the burn.
One.
Hurry up already. I'm getting old. Oh. All right, 3's enough. That'll work. Whew. That's the whole system, right? Now down here, we know where it is roughly. We're just gonna press it in. This adhesive, when it mixes bond, this is adhesive. If it releases, it gets stringy like this, all right? And so then it goes rock hard, like a stalactite. And so even if it's not perfectly in position, it's going to be bonded and it's not going to be moving afterwards. And real quick for everybody who's not familiar with the difference, we have a ultralight drywall, which is standard residential. And then there's fire rated. And this says fire code type X. And it's printed on the face of the paper. That way inspectors are able to look at a job and go, yes, we have fire protection drywall. If it didn't have the print on it, then you wouldn't have any way to know. This gap has to be sealed up. Wood isn't perfect, and because we don't have a vapor seal with an acoustic barrier, there's no way to have any confidence that CO2 or whatever other gases are in this room couldn't make it into the home. It could get in here, get into a wall cavity, and where those wires went up into the attic, that's a bad area there to seal. So, we have a product on the market, and this is Fire Block. It's a low expansion foam, goes up to 1 inch. It is rated for fire sealing, and so we are going to use this. And the best thing about foam is you can trim it after the fact. This is a very sensitive beast. All right, guys, we're back the next day. Finished all the drywall installation. Now we got to go around every gap and air seal this room. It's a garage, so what's above us is still connected to the house. So we have to have it air sealed for my building inspector because she has to make sure that we can't get carbon monoxide poisoning in the home. All right, that's her fire code issue. So I got to seal that gap, all that along that wall, and the entire ceiling has to be air sealed. So we're going to air seal with our fire rated caulking. This works as a fire barrier. So if you have drywall and you're in your basement and you're separating it from living spaces, you can actually follow the drywall that goes up and around all the joists, and you can connect the joist to the drywall with this, or drywall to drywall with this. It's perfect. This gives you that burning time, which is part of our fireproofing system. So once we have all of our air sealing done, we have actually encapsulated this room with the complete inability for fire to find an exit without burning through our products. We are not going to be tooling it. We are not going to be putting our fingers in it. We are going to be just shoving this stuff in the hole, making it obvious. There we go. And it has to be continuous and perfect. So by making a nice fat bead, I can be pushing it in, being intentionally over the top. Okay, like that, no problem. And if the drywall is touching, you can move a little bit faster, obviously. But I'm just using the edge of the tip as my tooling system, okay? Now, I missed here. This is all about integrity of the seal, not the quality of the visual appearance. One way that I can tool this is with the back side of my knife. And that should leave her with a little bit more confidence that I did it right. Whenever that happens, resist the temptation to grab it, or you'll grab the blade. You'll learn that one the hard way. All right, here we go. Here's the next stage. We got James Hardie cement fiberboard. It's got channels back here, and it's designed so that when you go on the outside of your house, it has drainage, okay? The point is, this stuff doesn't degrade in weather, and it's a cement fiberboard, so it's fireproof, which is great. So what we're gonna use is we're gonna trim out the bottom, the top, and all of the intersection joints with this material, adding another elevation of fireproofing so that all of the joints, which are the weak spot, have extra protection. It also means we're eliminating the need to use paper and drywall compound to do all of the mud work in here. Now, Matt and I are going to use a couple different guns. We're going to use the framing nailer, which is a 3 1/4 inch nail, just so that we can penetrate this, the 5/8 drywall, and get a nail into some wood. We're also going to use a brad nailer. All right, so we're using galvanized hardware. This is a 2-inch trim nail, and that'll be great. Okay, very careful here, and lift it all the way up before we set it in the corner, at least a foot off the corner. I don't want to risk cracking it, right? There you go. Boom. And then come over every 4 feet, throw one of those bad boys in there. The secret is, don't nail where the joint is. That pulls it nice and tight, eh? And then you could also use a couple of brad nails. And that'll pull it tight as well. But I would throw in more. I'm gonna just keep throwing numbers at you, Matt.
Okay.
I'm going to be putting a small bead right on the end of that trim. So if you got a framing nailer, you're in great shape. If you only have a brad nailer, you're gonna have to use adhesive on the ceiling flats. Throw the nails in, and then put in additional support, because these nails will not make it through to the wood and hold it well enough. All right, so the foam is nicely set up now. That's good. What I did is I treated my little attic access door, boom, with some foam treatment. It's a very low expansion foam, so it's good around doors and windows. We're gonna trim this all back now. Except for that one space where it was really tight. So where it was really tight, I'm gonna follow up with the caulking, just for good measure. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to picture frame this now with my cement board. And I'm going to bring my cement board right up to beside this metal. Okay, I'm not gonna cover it. I'm gonna bring it up next to the aluminum frame. It's about a 1/4 inch thick. And then when I'm done, because it's sitting down so proud, I'll be able to come back with the caulking gun on an angle and put a nice little concave bead from the aluminum to the cement board, sealing that up permanently. And that is gonna be amazing. Okay, yeah,
Now we
sure.
got 7-footer here.
Yeah. All right. As long as that line stays relatively consistent. I'm gonna hold my hand. Okay, that ceiling looks pretty freaking sick though, Joe. Okay, so we're ready to prep for the paint now, and there's 4 types of damage that we gotta deal with. One of them, obviously, is drywall screws, right? So we got a 4-inch knife, and I've got my all-purpose drywall compound. You don't need anything fancy, okay? Not for this, all right? Second kind of damage is we have these big nail heads, all right? Now, the nature of cement board, when a nail goes in there, it actually, it doesn't implode, it explodes, right? So they get all this surface material. You want to just take a nice piece of wood, something like this. A wood shim will clear off all that extra debris, leaving a nice smooth surface and a hole. And then we're able to come back with this Wood Pro. Now this is just a soft like putty, and we can squeeze it in and then tool that and make it nice and fill and surface. Fill and surface? We can fill that up and make it perfect flat surface for paint. The other kind of gap and crack we got to deal with is I'm going to use my fire caulking again. So for everybody who's watched the video up to this point and you're like, you've got 2 or 3 areas in the room, you're like, there wasn't enough sealant. This is for you. We're actually going to use this as a perimeter sealant on all the different sides here, okay? Any gaps between the material, we're going to seal it up with this one last time. We also have these, the little nail holes, all right? The brad nail still causes a little surface damage. You want to just give it a quick little rub, make sure you're good. We can actually fill these with a little dab of the caulking, so we'll just clean up the edge. We'll throw in a little smear. Now all I got to do is fill all the holes, caulk all the lines, all around the room. It takes about a couple of hours, and then we're ready for paint. All right, guys, it's Jeff here. We're back in the garage. We are doing our paint job today. Let me get you a clean can to look at here. This is flame control. Intumescent paint, okay? This paint here claims to have a 30-minute fire rating when you apply 2 coats. Pretty cool, all right? It can be tinted and shaken at the store, which is necessary because it's a little bit different. This paint, I actually took it fresh off the shaker, brought it back here. The instructions say that you can roll and brush and spray. So, I tried rolling it. And what we found was that because I let it sit for 1 day, it had settled again, and that this paint is mostly solids. Because it's fire resistant paint, you'd think there's more than liquid in here, and there is. Check this out. There we go, okay? Tons of solids. And so what happened is I used my mixing blade. I whipped it up real good, okay? And then I tried rolling it on, and I would roll it on, and as I back rolled, it would come back off the wall and onto the roller. And I stopped right away. I said, this is not working. It was driving me nuts. So today, I got 1 gallon left. I'm sending you to the paint store. Okay. Tell them whatever they do for mixing, do 4 times. I sent Matt with the last gallon to go have it shook 4 times. And what they discussed, because he was telling them about the consistency of the clay-like substance. So they called the helpline for the paint company. And they were like, that's not right. It's not supposed to be in that condition. It means like the clay, that looks like paint. Right away. This is awesome. That clay-like substance didn't have any tint in it. So it wasn't even tinted from the beginning when we got this a couple weeks ago. They said don't even use this stuff. Apparently it's a bad batch. And you can see in the pail, like it just won't mix. Oh yeah, there's not a single chunk of solid in there. All right. Okay, well, that's what we should be expecting. All right, so I wasn't just dealing with a difficult product. We were dealing with a bad product. Man, you don't know what you don't know till you don't know it. All right, let's set up and get spraying and then we'll see what this is like. Wow. That's amazing. Okay, so we're gonna go see how much of this content I can get done with the first coat. Whew. Leave your mask on, Joe. There's definitely a good reason to leave a mask on in here. That's the end of the first gallon. This kind of smells like a boy's locker room. That's really good for a first coat. I'm happy with that. All right. Now, we're gonna prime this up again. Make sure the line's full. As soon as I turn this on. By the way, this paint is almost bulletproof. My roller the other day dried out so hard and crusty, it's like a hammer now, which is awesome. All right, that's 2 coats. I mean, it looks like it's drying with lines right now because it's spraying out, because it's such a thick paint, a little inconsistency on the edges. But don't worry about that. When it's all dry, it'll all blend in. You won't even see it. Guys, here we are. We've got our paint job finished. It's time for the final step of our fireproof garage. That's right, our fire suppression system. Now, I didn't want to go with something mechanical. I wanted something that even if the power was out was going to work, right? And I didn't want to spend thousands of dollars. So here's what I got. Automatic fire stop. Basically, it's a fire extinguisher in a ball. Okay? It's like a fire grenade. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually mount this on my wall. But I'm gonna have a charging station here. And I like to be able to charge my batteries overnight. But lithium batteries do have a tendency to overheat and then catch on fire. Yeah, no kidding. So I'm gonna have this set up above my charging station. Now, I'm not an idiot. I'm not relying on this. I'm also gonna have my electrician wire in a smoke detector in my garage connected to the rest of the house. Here in Canada, we don't have that in our building code. Why? I have no earthly idea. Wire up your garage, guys. And we're just gonna use a level and a stud finder, find a few locations here on my charging area, mount these suckers, because this comes with the mounting rail. We can just screw to a stud, place this arrow side down, and boom. We got a little something to go with the fire suppression system, with my smoke detector. You put it all together, this is the safest garage in North America. All right, guys, we're out here. We're gonna test the auto fire stop just for fun. The package came with 4, I only needed 3, so I'm gonna put a little accelerant in here. There we go. Yeah, that'll give us a good fire right out of the gate. I don't wanna be here for half an hour waiting for this thing to get hot. Yeah, that ought to be enough of a fire to get this to blow, eh? Okay, we'll get it nice and steady, and I'm gonna walk back first. Try not to knock over my alphabet tower. There we go. It should blow in a couple seconds. Okay, that's enough, that's enough, that's enough. Wow, that was loud. Glad I was wearing my protection. All right. That reacted differently than I expected. It was leaking before it blew. That was very strange. Yeah, aside from the fact that I cheated and I had fire block accelerant in there, it worked pretty darn good. I think if my batteries go up in the garage, those 3 blocks sitting there, I'm gonna sleep easy knowing that they're there. And if there is a fire, damn it, I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night knowing those things went off. All right, there we got it, fire suppression, bam. Now, the only thing left here is for my electrician to come by and wire up my smoke detector. This is officially fireproof garage.